Good morning, all. Welcome. Yep, the new stadium has been opened up this weekend, and all I have to say is good morning, Mike. Are you going?
Morning. No, I'm not going. There's the short answer to that question.
Well, the thing is, if people are wondering why we're not on Heartland Championship Facebook page right at the moment, it's for the second time in 3 weeks it goes error. So I'm just quickly jumping onto our partner channel, Rugby Redefined, and I am going to share that over to the Heartland Rugby page. So if you are watching that on Heartland page from Rugby Redefined, that's okay. Just throw stuff and shit in the comments. But sorry, just had to do a little bit of housework then. What was I going to say? Wow, what a weekend, eh?
Yeah, great weekend of rugby. A few upsets and all eyes on Christchurch.
Certainly is. And also on top of that, I wonder how young Josh is going on over there at Foursquare Franz Joseph. I normally start the show with that, but I just got all thrown with the Facebook bullshit not working. So thanks for your support, Josh and the team over there at Franz Joseph. I hope you're not getting too wet. Apparently, we're in a state of emergency. Thank God I live on a hill.
Yeah, it's thoughts are with those in Wellington. They're getting it quite bad up there. We've actually had 2 days of rain down here in Ashburton, but that's nothing compared to what they're getting. So hopefully they come out the better end of it.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, when you messaged me that we were in a state of emergency, and I went, are we? No civil defence notice, nothing on Facebook, and you know me, I'm always on Facebook. I saw nothing. We're stuck behind a hill, up a hill, away from the southerly, and the wife had to go and pick up the child from a training course thing in Lower Hutt. And I went, oh my God, she's had to drive out to the hut, and this thing was saying, don't go out, don't leave your house. And I'm thinking, wow, we didn't, Wellingtonians, if you didn't know. And that is pretty bad. But hey, I suppose, you know, unless you're in Auckland and it's going to breeze a 10-mile-an-hour wind across the Auckland Harbour Bridge, they'll get a warning. But don't worry about us poor Wellingtonians. But anyway, on with the show. There's my bitch moan for a Tuesday. So what we will do here is I will add that to the stage, and I'll add that, and we'll have a look at last weekend's results. So I have to do a radio show on a Saturday. Unfortunately, they have me doing it on a Friday. So they wanted me to be a oracle on a Saturday morning, what happened last night. So on the radio show, I said the Highlanders would win by 7 points, and I said the Waratahs would win by 20. Can I claim a 7-point victory to the Evil Empire and a 15-point victory to the Waratahs when I said there would be a 7-point and a 20-point difference in the game?
No.
Oh, stuff you. Okay, now we have to hit the big question. Is Jamie Joseph, and this is going to get someone we know quite well rolled up and probably attack you, is Jamie Joseph correct about, some of those decisions that went against the Highlanders on Friday night?
Well, it's got a few people racked up on social media, hasn't it? Well, Jamie Joseph's gonna fire his opinion out there whether we like it or not. I'm not going to comment on it because I very rarely comment on referee decisions. But the outcome could have been a bit better. But the Highlanders just about pulled off the ultimate comeback there. I thought they played really well.
Yeah, I mean, they played well against the Brumbies the week before, didn't they? And, 47-40 at Eden Park, bouncing the ball either way, it could have gone the Highlanders' way, and they could have won by 7 points. So, disappointing result for the Blue and Golds, but hey, I'm sure they'll bounce back this weekend. Here's all fingers crossed and toes and all that for them. Over there, though, Moana, they put up a spirited fight against the Waratahs, didn't they, in Sydney, even though with only 10 minutes to go, they all had to leave the field because there was some lightning in Brisbane.
Yeah, well, the weather gods are poking their nose on the game, but full credit to the Waratahs. Probably that result was probably a given, but it'll be interesting to see how they go this week against the Crusaders in the opening round.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, we'll just keep it in order. There's no preferential treatment here, but game of the season, wasn't it? Could have gone either way if, Warner Durn's charge down, and he's charge down king at the moment, isn't he, for the Hurricane, well, in Super Rugby with his, 10-foot tall height. But 22-17 to the Chiefs over the mighty Hurricanes. Hurricanes at least walk away with a bonus point after extra time. But, it's sort of like, why couldn't we have had a draw?
Yeah, well, that was it was always touted as the game of the round. It was probably the game of the season. It was a great game of footy. Two high class sides throwing absolutely everything at each other. I thought Damien McKenzie had a blinder. Josh Lord and Luke Jacobson put their hand up for an All Blacks jersey. I think, if that charge down from Warner Dunes had gone the other direction, it would have been a different story, I think.
Yeah, and I know everyone wants a winner and they have the drama of the extra time and all that, play 10 minutes and see what happens. But then you see Cam Roigard get taken off and he wasn't happy at all. You could see it on his face, right? They just had a 5-minute break for everyone to get their breath back. But the thing is, with them saying, this is my biggest bugbear about this extra time rubbish, right? After 10 minutes of let's bash each other around a bit more, if it's still a draw, it's a draw, right?
Yeah. Mm.
If you get a little slap on the cheek from something, you're off for 10 minutes, you're getting HIAs, you're doing all this, it's all about player safety. At the end of 80 minutes, the players are shot, especially in a game like that, and they go, let's go another 10. But hang on, we'll have a little break in between, and then we'll go for another. You're just opening yourself up for injury, are you not?
Yeah, well, we've seen this in the Lahore, I think it was the Lahore Cup final with between Taranaki, King Country and West Coast a couple of years ago. That went to extra time, and there was reserves coming on, and that had already been off, and the players were absolutely gassed, absolutely out on their feet. But I can only imagine what these Super Rugby players, because obviously it's a different level of rugby, how they were feeling. But Roigard did not look happy at all.
Yeah, I suppose the caveat, there's a big word for me on a Tuesday. The caveat there is that was a final, the Lahore Cup, right?
Mm.
I don't have a problem with extra time in playoffs because it's a one deciding game, you need a winner.
Mm.
But during round robin, they do have a big D column on the table. You could have had a draw, and it would have been, and people wouldn't have been upset, I don't believe, if it ended up being 17 all. You know what I mean? All except maybe the TAB, who would have been given odds of 20-1 for a draw or something like that, But to me, I've been an advocate for this for a long time now, and I believe, during round robin, if it's a draw, it's a draw. Let it go. If it's the playoffs, fine, golden point, But I'm not a fan of this extra time in round robin, so that really pisses me off. So then we went to Canberra, and no one in their right mind, except I think you, picked Fiji Drua. Man, they broke a 33-game losing streak. They only get their second ever win against on the road. It's the first time in one season they've beaten two Australian teams twice. How good was the feat? They found their passports. They must have brought some fresh carver with them.
Yeah, well, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? They were always going to win on the road at some stage, and it just happened to be last weekend. But yeah, no, it was a pretty solid performance from the Drua. I thought Martin Marciali, the ex Crusader, had a great game, and Antonio Walker leading from the front. They just blow me away.
Oh, I know. And also, a big shout out to young Marcus Howie. We haven't heard from you, young Marcus. How's the Manawatu treating you these days? But good to see that you're still following our show. But yeah, you've got. I mean, they were playing with passion. They played with inventiveness. They took the game to the Brumbies. But to me, the big thing is they went to Canberra and they won in Canberra. You know, that is my game when the Hurricanes, doesn't matter when it is, or finals, round robin, whatever. I always shudder when the Hurricanes go to the Brumbies because it's probably, other than Apollo Project Stadium in Christchurch, right? It's probably one of the hardest places to win a game of rugby. And to end a 33 losing streak there, yeah, I mean, bloody good.
Yeah, no, there would have been a few bowls of carver going around that night.
I know. And then, of course, I called it, didn't I? 2 weeks ago. If you're going to stuff around with your team and not play your best team and keep all your best players for your brand new house, you're going to get bitten on the ass. And the Crusaders went to Australia and got bitten on the ass, both by Queensland and the Western Force, who hadn't beaten them since 2014 or something rubbish. Yeah. Why?
Well, yeah. Well, the Force showed up, didn't they? The Crusaders were obviously missing quite a few of their stars for one reason or another. I think Tamati Williams is still fighting his back infection. I've seen a couple of photos of him floating around hospital and his home. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, with the opening round of Super Round this weekend, they're up first, so they need to win, and to win, they need to field a full strength side. Because if they lose on Friday, well, there's going to be a few unhappy fans.
Oh, certainly, and apparently it is sold out. And but yeah, it's sort of like my point about this, you know, picking your B team for games literally throws me back, and it just actually popped into my head. I was at Athletic Park watching the Hurricanes play the Stormers, I think it was, and where I had seats was right sort of beside the South African reserves, non-playing reserves, and we were sitting there, and I said to my mate, I was like, what? They all look really healthy. Why are they not playing? And anyway, the Hurricanes went on and won that game, right? And I said, okay, the Highlanders were like flying high at the time. And I just said, they're going to beat the Highlanders next week. And he goes, why? I says, because look, their whole bloody A team sitting in front of us. And he went, you're talking rubbish. The following week, they were like rank outsiders to beat the Highlanders and blew them off the park. And I turned to my mate and I went, why didn't I go to the TAB? Because I called that sitting in the grandstand last week, and they absolutely annihilated the Highlanders with their A team. So if now you're only in the top 6, right, you've got to just play your best team. I mean, the Hurricanes lost. Yeah, and we'll go to the table now. Yeah. There we go. There was the thing about the Drua. We'll go to the table, and at the moment, I think the Chiefs are there because they beat the Hurricanes, but the Hurricanes still have a game in hand, and they had their best team against the Chiefs, but they walked away with a point. But the only time they played their worst team was when they lost to the Drua. But they've been playing it sensibly since, and they're still in a comfortable position with a game in hand. So even though that table says the Chiefs are on top, I mean, look at the point differential. The Hurricanes plus 184 and the Chiefs 109, So the Hurricanes won't be in second place for long, is what I'm saying. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was having an argument with but I commented on a Facebook post yesterday. It must have been a disgruntled Hurricanes fan that was adamant that the Canes should have still been on top of the table. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. And he backed down pretty quick. But yeah, no, it's I think it's because the Chiefs have won more games, is it? I think it might be.
Well, yes, they have won more games, but also in most recent years, if there is a tie, the first one will be who beat who. And if it was a draw, then it would be how many games. And then if it was the same, it was how many point differential. So that's why I'm not all that worried about the Hurricanes slipping to second. As far as I look at that, it's equal first.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. So the Blues, they had their win. They stay in third place. The Brumbies, even though they lost, they stay in fourth place, more thanks to the Crusaders losing. And the Queensland Reds there are in fifth. Crusaders, well, they haven't moved, but they've only got a two-point gap on the Waratahs, who they play, as you've said, this Friday. And so that's a big game for both teams to get into that top, to solidify a top six. But then you got the Drua, you got the Highlanders, and now you have the Western Force. They're only, the Drua and the Highlanders are only one win away from the top six. The Force are 1.5 wins away from the top six, and Moana Pacifica can just continue their farewell tour.
Yeah, it's going to be this round's going to go a long way to putting teams on that trajectory, as Kirky likes to say, towards the top six. I think if the Crusaders get beaten this weekend and the Highlanders blow away Moana, there'll be major shifts in that table and the middle to lower order.
Yeah, and we're starting to get to the pointy end of the season. The player of the year so far, Quinto Paia is still leading the way on 43 points. Ben Donaldson there on 34. Lonergan, 29. Jorgensen, who started off with a hiss and a roar, but he's been really quiet the last couple of weeks. Whalangi and Tavanawai are there. Will Jordan didn't play, hasn't played for a couple of weeks, but it just goes to show you how the Crusaders are missing him. Tangata, there is speculation around a possible major injury to him. And, of course, Tupou for Moana sitting down there on 21 points. And then, this guy's come out of nowhere, hasn't he? Sid Harvey from the Waratahs. What do you make of his performance on against the against whoever they played again?
I didn't actually see the game, but he's had big raps on him for a long time. So, he did come out of nowhere. But who else is there? Nick Shearer, Cody Voy, Lucas Casey. Well, Lucas Casey hasn't played for a while. Hasn't played for a few weeks either. He might be back at the Waikarai Valley Demons playing club rugby, is he?
Well, he did come off the bench, didn't he, last weekend?
Oh, he may have done.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got Zach Lomax, the rugby leaguer, who helped beat the Crusaders. And probably quote of the year, he was doing something on the ground and one of the Crusaders turned around and says, "You're playing rugby union now, boy." So he must have got a nice little under the radar facial or something, rugby union style. So it's great to see there's still that love-hate relationship between rugby league and rugby union. But but then he had the last laugh because when he scored that try, he looked straight at whomever it said and he gave him the bloody, big what for. So, that was pretty cool. But Sid Harvey, he can kick, he can run, he can score tries. He could be a bolter in the Wallabies. What do you think?
I think there'll be a few bolters in the Wallabies this year.
I know. It's going to be really interesting. So, we don't know who the teams are, so we can have our quick look at who's going to be what. And, of course, it all kicks off at the brand new spanking One New Zealand Stadium or Te Kaha Stadium down there in Christchurch on Friday night. The Crusaders taking on the Waratahs. So let's get our pre-team selection picks.
Waratahs by 10.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll have to go to the Crusaders to win by 12. There you go. I think they're going to have a party to kick off a big weekend at the Sellout. Because all the games this weekend are being played at the new stadium. And, of course, it kicks off, early kick-off, 5 o'clock. Hurricanes taking on the Brumbies, who, over here, I'm a bit happier if it was here in Wellington, but we're still at a neutral venue. So Hurricanes, Brumbies, Hurricanes will need to sort of bounce back. The Brumbies need to bounce back. They had a tough time of it down in Dunedin under the roof. So they've already had a game under a roof. Do you think that's going to help them?
No, I think they're going to come out and win it no matter what the circumstances. I think they're going to want to put last week behind them, and they're going to come out and want to destroy the Brumbies. But I'm picking Hurricanes by 15.
Destroy it by. I'll take that. Okay, I'll pat you on the back for that one, and I'll double down and go okay. And then, of course, straight after that, the crowd will empty out because who's interested in the evil empire? Everyone will be eating their fancy $20 Great Southern pies. Did you hear that, Great Southern? I see they're in Wellington now. Just giving you a quick shout out. So, the Blues taking on the Reds. To me, it's the Reds all day, every day by 10 points.
Blues by 15.
I knew you'd say that. And then
and just a wee side note on the Great Southern Pies. They are in the process of. I've seen a wee video clip on Facebook before I come on here that they're in the process of making another pie for the opening weekend, and they had a couple of Crusaders in there baking them. So we'll look out for the next flavour of pie. I'm sure Donnie Bell will be there in the corporate box eating his share of pies and hot dogs.
Well, what would the national or in the state? I wonder what the state animal is for the Waratahs. Is it it might be an emu pie,
wallaby pie,
or a crocodile meat pie. I don't know, something like that. That could be a bit of fun. And there's plenty of wallabies down there in the South Island, isn't there? They could go and shoot a couple of them and throw them in a pie. So. I think it is. I mean, I'm going to try as much as I can watch every game of this. I think it's all going to be a great weekend just for the atmosphere alone. It's a shame I couldn't get down there. But then on Sunday, we got 2 games at 2 o'clock. The Highlanders taking on Moana Pacifica. The Highlanders, they're used to this sort of environment, I suppose you could say. The Highlanders, and I mean, Moana Pacifica were very passionate last week, right, against the Waratahs. That's who Sid Harvey scored against. But I think the Highlanders are going to be far too strong, and I'm going to pick them to win by 15.
Yeah, they need a win and they need a bonus point out of it. Nothing less will do. Highlanders by 20. Yeah.
And then, of course, at 4:30, we've got the Chiefs currently equal first with the Hurricanes taking on the Fijian Drua. who, after, can they go back-to-back away victories?
Well, I never discount Fiji. Once they get their tails up, they're almighty hard to stop. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs by 10. But it wouldn't surprise me if Fiji got up and beat them. To be fair, but that's unlikely.
Well, just to make it nice and even, I'm going to go the Drua. I'm going to say the Drua to win by 8 points, only because one, doesn't matter what weather we've got happening outside, it's going to be a hard, fast track, isn't it? So, and also there's going to be, 4 games of rugby played on the same field beforehand. So, to me, it's definitely going to be, the whole weekend's just going to be awesome. So, and if you disagree with us, throw them in the comments, the drill, peoples. So, yeah. And then, of course, what have we got up next then? Yes, the girls. Back to back at Hong Kong, yet to be defeated in Hong Kong. How good were they over the weekend?
Oh, they're on another level. They're just unstoppable at the moment. I can't say much more than that, to be fair.
Yeah, the whole weekend I watched as much as I could, and it was so awesome to watch Denmark take on Thailand, in the invitational tournament, because that's what, to me, the Sevens is about. And there was 40,000 people at that stadium. But the thing is, it was Hong Kong. It is a must-go destination. And now and after all that, sure, it's all been the World Series is over. New Zealand won that. South Africa won the men's. But now it all comes down to the next 3 tournaments who are in that top 8. And, of course, winning, they're there for next year. Same with South Africa. They're there for next year. But then when we look at the women's pools for the next round in Valladolid, somewhere in Spain, New Zealand, they will take on Japan, Brazil, and Argentina. You could say, okay, they'll get through that group. Australia taking on USA, Fiji, and South Africa. Well, USA and Fiji are now battling for a top 8 show. And hang on a second. We'll bring you in and we'll take you off.
You boot me out.
No. It was just, I'll just do that. There we go. Are you there? Oh, I think I kicked out the wrong person then. Try and log in again, Mike. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is, the top 8 after these next 3 rounds will go into Sevens Division 1 next year. And if we look at the men's pools, you got South Africa, Australia, Kenya, and there we go. We're back. Okay, so in the men's pools, I don't know what happened then. In the men's pools, you got South Africa, Australia, Kenya, and Great Britain. Now, Kenya are currently in 6th or 7th place after Hong Kong. If they can stay in the top 8 after these 3 rounds of sevens, they will be back in the whole World Series Division 1 next year. Great Britain are languishing down the bottom. It's hard Great Britain are there because of the Olympics, right? Because they can't represent us, England or Scotland and stuff. But how big of a problem is it going to be if the British and the Scottish and the Welsh, especially the Scottish who invented sevens, are not in the top flight of sevens rugby next year?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Those polls there are actually quite fair. Well, what have we got? Yeah, right, New Zealand.
So interesting, isn't it? It certainly is. New Zealand going to take on Argentina, Uruguay, and Germany. Argentina, hard. Uruguay have beaten New Zealand. And then, when you look at Pool C, you got Spain, Fiji, France, and USA. Pool of death. because USA are the Division 2 champions, and so they'll be fighting. The French will be filthy after Hong Kong. And Spain, well, they're just riding a high because they've just picked up the bronze medal in Hong Kong after defeating the All Black Sevens in a third place playoff. Hello? What has gone? You look at the women and you look at the men, the women are class above. They're a different planet, different universe, different galaxy. They're superstars. You look at the men who used to be on a different planet, different universe, right?
Yeah.
Now it feels like they're coming from South Auckland.
Yeah. The men have their form has tapered off in the last year or so, I think. But yeah, to be fair, it's been all eyes on the girls anyway. So yeah.
So does it come down to the coaching though? Because
I think it's different players and different coaching structure.
Yeah, well, there are still a lot of players there that Laidlaw was in charge of when he was at the Sevens. He's now gone to the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are flying high and going really well. Now, those same players aren't being given this, they're given the opportunity, but they're not producing. Do we start having to look at Tamasi Kama as great player? But that same story, great players never make great coaches.
Yeah. Well, I think this might upset a few people, but I think Laidlaw has his favourites. I think that was the case when he was with the Sevens, and it's the case now with he's been at the Hurricanes. Hence why Riley Higgins is going, because he's had no opportunity to, he's had no game time, and it's been Barrett's and all that sort of carry on. But they need to look deep in within that environment and see what's going on.
And a big shout out also quickly to Captain Hurricane. I hope the weather's all right for you up there in the Taranaki. Our boys will bounce back, Captain. And also, happy birthday, young fella. See, this is what you find out when you stalk people. So big happy birthday to Craig. And also a big happy birthday to Blair Murphin, the beast from the west, from the Grey Valley, who's turning 50 today. So after you've milked your cows, sit back and have a few brewskis, Blair, or Cuddles as he is known as, one of the greatest men from Heartland Rugby. So big happy 50th to you, Mr.
West Coast legend.
Oh, totally. I mean, he's just the man. And ever since he got the arse from Grey Valley, they don't even have a team now for the first time in 18 years, which is a bit of a shame. But bring back Murph is what I say. Right, what else have we got on here? Oh, yes, talking about that. It's a good way to almost end the show. So, rugby. So we're off to the Telstra NRL. We're off to the Isuzu League, A-League. We're off to the Gallagher Premiership in England. We're off to all these other competitions. What are we going to do here in New Zealand? We're going to go to provincial rugby. Does this mean they don't have a sponsor?
I don't know. It's all good ending their sponsorship tenure with Bunnings, but just leave it at Heartland Rugby, for God's sake.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, are they aiming now for this to be the last possible year of Heartland Rugby? Because,
No.
I mean, they still haven't officially announced what the draw is. Why? No idea. I've seen the draw for 3 months, and they still haven't announced it, unless it's coming out this week. But I've seen the draw for 3 months. What the hell's going on? Don't the fans deserve, especially now with the price of petrol and flying and stuff like that, people want to make plans to travel to Ruatoria or travel to bloody Ashburton or wherever, because, it's tight out there, and the longer you have to pay something off, the better, isn't it?
I've always said, Heartland Rugby just keeps falling by the wayside. Whether it be sponsorship, money from NZR players. Yeah, no, they just don't really care about it, and I stand by those comments.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, they're totally shafted, Heartland, and at the end of the day, it's where all the new ABs come from. So they start mucking around with the grassroots, and doesn't matter how many contracts Dave Rennie has to pick for the All Black team, you still need those players coming through to get those contracts, don't you?
Yeah, well, I heard he was going to pick a squad of 80 for his first tour, so we'll see how true that is.
Why not? Because if you have 80 with no money, you have to take at least 50 management with you, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, well, that's obviously including managers and backroom support staff. But, yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see when his first squad's announced. I think there'll be a few players worried at the moment.
Yeah, but, I mean, we'll be ending the show pretty quick because Tuesdays is a quick show, because once we get the team lineups, we can pick them all to bits on Thursday. But yeah, so we'll end with the show with a look at the new stadium. I understand the far left is all open, which that's for so they can build a stage for concerts and stuff like that. But couldn't they have made it so they could have moved it out? Like, there's a couple of stadiums in America and around the world where it is fully enclosed. Yeah, if they are going to have a concert, they literally wheel the back end out. So you could have a stage complex at one end of the stadium.
Well, it is a multi-purpose stadium. Yes, it's the new home of Crusaders Rugby, but it is a multi-purpose stadium. It's not just going to be used for rugby, right?
Yeah.
They've got food vendors in there. They've got TVs. When you leave your seat to go and get something to eat, you can still watch the game, so you're not missing the game. It's one of the only. I think it might be one of two stadiums in New Zealand that actually has proper turf, right?
Yeah.
So they need to look after it. Yeah, and I think that's what they've done. To be fair, but it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see the first pictures of it. I reckon it's going to look pretty cool, Phil.
Yeah. Yeah, and you look at the scaffolding holding the roof up. Are we going to see an up and under hit the scaffolding? And who would it be?
No. The roof is more than high enough to cope with Bowden Barrett's aimless kicking.
I wouldn't get that high. Would Damien McKenzie be able to put up a big up and under and hit the roof? And then if it hit that, what happens? Is there a scrum?
Oh.
New rules. Yeah, why not? But no, it looks magnificent. I'm just talking as a really jealous Wellingtonian when they should have put a roof on the stadium here when they built the thing. But no, they didn't. They could still build a roof, and I do know the Wellington Stadium, if they had the crowds, did have the ability to have another tier built around the top of the second tier. So at least they were looking at that future-proofing. Unfortunately, the crowds have gone backwards, and no one goes to the games anymore. So, but then you look at, imagine this place packed full of Warrior fans, dare I say it.
Oh, yeah, no, when the Warriors go and play there, it'll be sold out anyway because the Warriors pack out every stadium they play, which is bloody good. Super Rugby can take a few lessons from their fan base, as far as I'm concerned.
So, which brings up a good question. At the end of the day, they're both rugby games, right? So, and they're both franchisable competitions. So, what is the core factor that's making NRL more exciting? Did you see that picture we posted at Rugby Heartland that we shared that showed Suncorp Stadium for the Reds game. No one there, boring as. And then there was a split screen of the Broncos playing there, and you would think you were watching a grand final.
Yeah, it's I'm not too sure what to put it down to with regards to NRL. Maybe it's cheaper admission, or I don't know, or maybe they've just got the mix right with fan engagement and marketing and all that carry on. But yeah, no, it's yeah.
So no, big weekend to look forward to. What would be the number one game for you to be watching this weekend, and team lineups to come out of?
Well, probably the Crusaders and the Tars and the Chiefs and Drua are probably two games that I'd pay the most attention to. And of course the Highlanders, but it's good to have a couple of games on a Sunday as well. When we're sitting back having a punt on the Sunday trots, we can watch the rugby as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. So I'll be watching, as I said, all of them, and be really looking forward to them all. And then on top of all that, I've just run a mock draft for World Fantasy Rugby, where I've got 4 teams sort of loaded up, and it went perfectly. I even made Damien McKenzie play in Rhodey's team. But the whole draft will be reset. So watch this space. I will be putting up a video on our World Fantasy Rugby Facebook page explaining how you can join, because it's just going to blow people's minds. The database is 12,850 players for you to pick your 30-man squad from 112 countries and 955 clubs from around the world. That's pretty impressive. And the good thing is, when you have your team, it's your team. So if you want to have Bowden Barrett, Damien McKenzie, and Will Jordan in your team, this is an ability for you to try and get that to happen. So keep an eye out for that. But until Thursday, thank you, Mike, for joining us.
No worries. I'm going.
It's raining again.
Yeah, it's just stopped raining here, but it's bitterly cold.
Yeah, turned on the heater for the first time last night this year. Got a bit nippy here last night. But until next week, again, thanks to Foursquare and Josh and the team, we will see you on Thursday with the team lineup. So catch us all on the flip side. Catch you after the show.
See you later, mate.
Later.